This is Doxxz from Doxxztv. I'd like to talk to you about a project that me and my brother Rush are going to be working on. It's where we're going to take our raiding selves, PvE only, and go PvP. It's going to be crazy, it's going to suck, but hey, what happens when PvE goes PvP? And you might be asking, why a dinosaur? Well, as my friend Grizzly says, we only kill raid dinosaurs. Hello everybody, this is Doxxz from Doxxztv, and today I'm going to be doing just a little bit of a beginner's guide for warlocking in 7.1.5. There's been a lot of changes that have gone through to make being an Affliction Warlock tons better. But this guide is just for the new people that wanting to switch to Affliction, or people that are just starting to roll their Warlocks because, hell, it's a lot better than it used to be. The major changes that really happened was adding Malefic Grasp to our talent tree, and they got rid of Drain Soul. While channeling Drain Soul, your damage over time effects deal 70% increased damage to a target, and that's pretty big. And we don't have to worry about being last on the meters now. This takes care of everything. The big change that we have for our talent tree is just makes the spec look similar to this. In our Discord channel, a lot of people are talking about how Soul Effigy is still the top DPS, but as we've learned in the past, it has always been selected, but I find that its lack of utility, or that the fact that it's cancer and hard to play with, is what makes it difficult to deal with. So I just use Soul Conduit, which allows me to shoot off more unstable afflictions, and that makes it a lot better. And does a lot more damage. I feel like I have a lot more rain when I'm doing my reap dumps, which is pretty good. A lot of Warlocks are using Contagion also, but we'll go over why that I do not use that. If we want to start off looking at the stat priorities, right now I got a ton more crit than I do haste, but haste and crit have the same amount of priority, and they about equal each other out, so both of them are as equal as good. But our top has to be mastery. It's going to be mastery over haste equals crit. If you load up our pawn stats, this add-on is very important to have. I love it, and it's good to know what you're looking for. Looking at my weights, I got crit and haste about the same, and mastery being above intellect at 11.8. Looking at some of my stats here, they show, you know, second best. This one shows a 52% increase upgrade, but since I have the ring and the bracers, which have better stats than the ring belt, those are the ones that I went for. But you can see right here the 52% upgrade, and that's usually what the pawn stats will do. But I do not suggest just downloading pawn stats. I would definitely do some research on it first. There's a really good video by Fat Boss who goes over how to set your own stats instead of worrying about stat priorities that the add-on adds. So do that if you want to fine-tune your stats. Other than that, it's generally just mastery over crit equals haste. That's what my pawn stat says, but different stats that you have, different gear, can show different weights. So it's best just to do that and learn the best that we can go. Going over the talents now, we're looking at, you know, our normal stats for, you know, Haunt, Writhe of Agony, Malefic Grasp. I go with Malefic Grasp because obviously, as I said earlier, 70% increased damage to targets is freaking insane. But anything that's got multiple targets, 3 or more, Writhe of Agony can do really well, does really well, parses very nicely, but you need those targets to last a very long time for it to ramp up that high. Haunt, if you have 2 targets, could be useful, or you have adds that die very quickly, so then you want to shoot that off and you get 30% increased damage. But for the general most part, I use Malefic Grasp. Alright, as we're going through our level 30 talents, you can see that it's Contagion, Absolute Corruption, and Empowered Life Tap. I use Absolute Corruption all the time, but I was just testing out Empowered Life Tap to show every time you life tap, you do get a buff, increases damage by 10%. Or you can do Contagion, which deals 18% damage to targets affected by your unstable affliction. I usually run at Absolute Corruption. I find that I get a ton more damage done when I'm using Seed of Corruption. I will be testing Empowered Life Tap. That one sounds pretty cool, but you know, as of now, I am using Absolute Corruption. Your level 45 talents don't really matter. Mortal Coil and Howl Terror's PvP oriented. Demonic Circle, there's really no use for it either, so I don't really give shit about the 45. Your level 60, you have Siphon Life, so the Seeds, Soul Harvest. Increases your damage on your pets, you and your pets, for 20%. It's just like having Dark Soul again that we had before, but it doesn't really last as long, and it's got a 2-minute cooldown. Siphon Life is a third dot, and it synergizes really well with the rest of your dots, so that one is going to be the one that we go with all the time. Unless we have mobs that have 3 or more targets, then so the Seeds is obviously pretty good. It shoots an additional 2 extra seeds instead of 4, so it's really nice if you're doing the first boss in Scorpion and you do a nice little cheesing, which I will add to the end of the video to show that I did about 3.5 million to those targets, but it's really fun to go with. So we'll go with Siphon Life, you know, single target or Mythic Plus ideas. We'll go with that. The next set, you can go with Demon Skin, increases regeneration by 1%, or you go with Dark Pact. If you want to feel like you need to run around all crazy like, you know, like speed boost all over, but it damages you. If you need that extra speed boost for raid utility, then fine, but I always go with Dark Pact. Dark Pact does a nice little bubble and takes away any kind of damage that you could be taking, and it'll help save the raid because dead DPS is bad DPS. For your level 90, you have Grimoire of Supremacy, Grimoire of Service, Grimoire of Sacrifice. Sacrifice is decent, I guess, if you're in a situation where you can do a bunch of AoE damage, then sure. But I always go with Grimoire of Supremacy. It got a nice little buff, they do a ton of damage, so we just go with that. It's one less cooldown that we have to worry about since we have enough to worry about on our plates. And for the level 100, I go with Soul Conduit. As I said earlier, your soul shards are refunded when you use your Unstable Affliction, so using that is beneficial than the Cancerous Soul of Effigy. Now, they really should have put Malefic Grasp here in the level 100 talents, but we all can't be winners, can we? Because then I would use Haunt and Malefic Grasp, because I like the dots and I like the damage, and it's nice. But you know, we get what we get. It's been a long road to get to 7.1.5, where the damage has been pretty good. So the fact that we're here now is so much better. So our damage is increased, we're not relying on cheesing the boss effects, so everything is so much better. Next on the list is we want to take a look at the artifact tree, just to see what we get a good idea of where we want to show our most promise to get the most damage. As I found when I was playing Affliction, that we really don't get a huge DPS boost until later levels of the weapon. As you can see, I'm level 40. There should be more, but I was dumping them in other weapons just to play around with them. But now that I know that I'm never going to play anything else, I decided that we should probably just dump everything we can into my Affliction weapon. The path usually will start off with Reap Souls and go upwards. The original build back in 7.0 or before was to go around this way, get your first Golden Dragon of Soul Flame, go down, get Wrath of Consumption, and then go and pick up the rest. But after they made changes in 7.1, they were like, oh, you know, we got to go different routes. So they were going up and down this way to get these single target DPS dumps, because they made changes to what Unstable Affliction does. But to avoid what is a problem with deciding which path that we want to go with, I suggest just getting all of it. Now that you can get up to 20 really quickly without having to do too much grinding of your arcane or artifact knowledge, it's easy to get up the ranks to 25 so that you can do more and get further along in the thing, and then just start dumping them into Soul Stealer, because that is a huge DPS upgrade. But I suggest just get your golden dragons as quickly. Alright, this was Tuesday night. We were doing normal Scorpion and Night Hold, and we were cheesing it so that we can get the most amount of AoE that we could. So you can see I started the fight off by firing off a pre-pot with a Unstable Affliction. Then I made sure I got my dots up on the target. I was able to keep the dots rolling. You want to make sure that you refresh those at all times. The difference between this and a normal fight that I have, I was using the seeds so that I could get the most amount of damage I could on the Scorpions to get the max amount of damage. A lot of the damage came from using So Seed of Corruption, but also when each target dies, part of our artifact power is to get Soul Flame, which detonates on death, which does a ton of damage, which spikes the damage done. By the end of the fight, you can see that my damage goes from 1.5 million all the way up to 3.4 million damage done. We were obviously cheesing, so just enjoy the video and see the amount of damage that I was able to do. That's about it. Really not a whole lot to it. Everything seems pretty normal. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, if you want some in-depth comments, concerns, questions, go ahead and check out the Warlock Discord channel for all your needs. Just don't be thin-skinned. They're kind of rough in there.